So this is part 4 of our journey, and this is the last part. Today we're going to get deep into the center of who you are. And for me, I like to call that the soul. Today we're going to talk about life tapestry. When we get into the soul, we need to look at the common threads that have run throughout our lives. And what do those common threads say about us? That gives us insight into our giftedness. It also gives us insight into our weaknesses. And it also gives us insight into our shadow side so that we can look and understand the warning signs of when things are happening and why they're happening. So the first thing I want you to do, get out that famous sheet of paper again. Another exercise, I want you to write down on the sheet of paper one column for each decade that you've been alive. Now, some of you who are in an older generation, you may need a second sheet of paper because you have too many columns. But those of you who are in middle age era, you probably have 3, 4, or 5 columns. So make those columns on your page. Now, in each column, I want you to answer certain questions. What was going on in society during that decade? So if you were born in 1960, what was happening in 1960? What was going on in that decade? We know that we had racial riots and desegregation that took place. We know that we had the assassination of President Kennedy that took place. We had the killing of Bobby Kennedy while he was running for office. So all of those things, write down those real highlighted events of the decade. What was going on in the world at that time? Secondly, second question for each column, okay, is what was happening in your family at that time? What was happening in your family? Third question, who were your authority figures during that era, during that decade? Now again, these are questions that you're going to answer for each decade that you were alive. Next question, what image did you have at that time of a creator? You might call that creator God, you might call that creator universe, you might call that creator the source. Whatever it is, what image did you have of that creator during that decade? And then the last question is, what is it that you were doing? How were you interacting in the world during that period? So were you a student? If you were a student, what were you good at? Were you in a career? What were you good at? When you were a teenager, what were you doing? What were you good at? Were you playing sports? Were you had a lot of friends? What is it that you were doing? Once you complete all of the answers to all of those questions, what I then want you to do is to look at that and see the common threads that move from one decade to the next. That's going to tell you a lot about your mission in life. What is it you were created to do? What is the purpose of your life? And it may not be anything dynamic. It's probably going to be something very plain. But what is it? What was that common thread throughout your life? It's been nice visiting with you through this 4-part series, and I hope that you will take a look at my website, see what I have to offer, and give me a call or contact me via email, and I'll be happy to discuss anything further with you. Thank you.